All right, we've done it. We did it, AK.
The internet works. The internet works.
I don't know what happened with the original link, but for some reason, it just decided that maybe the best friends just need some time to talk to themselves, because we were talking to ourselves. It said we were live here on our little screen here, but then we looked on our YouTube page and literally nothing was happening. Nothing was happening. But as you can see, we are live, and we welcome you to a very special edition of On to the Next One. This week, as you can see, we are in video form following UFC 275 in Singapore last night. And a lot of you are here as returning listeners and viewers. Some of you may be joining us for the very first time. So if you are new to the show, we're going to be doing some matchmaking following last night's pay-per-view card. I am Mike Heck, and joining me as always, the co-host, the co-matchmaker, the Prince of Positivity, and gosh darn it, he's my best friend, Alexander K. Lee. Hello, sir.
That last title, the only one that means anything to me, my best friend. That is all. I could lose everything else, as long as I'm your best friend. That's what's going to get me through the day. I'm doing great, man. That card, again, I told you I think I missed the prelims, but that main card was a card and a half. I mean, if you're like me and you only caught the main card, you are satisfied. You are full. I mean, I know there was some nice highlights, a couple of crazy knockouts on the prelims, but that main card was just rife with drama and storylines and great performances and controversy. And yes, the mixing of the martial arts, everything that we want to see on a high level MMA card. So it was great. And I just want to say ahead of time, first of all, thank you everyone for tuning in. And for any of our regulars who normally send in picks, guys, who send in picks ahead of time, guys, we tell you we're doing on the live show. We're probably not going to get around to reading a lot of the listener picks. Mostly we'll be attending to ones in the comments. That's sort of the point of doing a live show. Of course, we welcome you guys sending in picks. Just be aware. Picks, questions, comments, stuff that you want to see read that you send me in the DMs probably aren't going to be addressed right now, but I will, as always, try to reply directly. So instead of an on-air shout out, you may get a direct response from me, which is just as good, if not better, I feel.
I agree. It's very personal, and I'm probably not going to do that, but but I appreciate you doing it. But now, normally this is in podcast form. We, like you said, we read the listener submissions. Yeah, but we're going to throw them up here. We'll get to as many of these suggestions here as we can. Some of these are really easy in my eyes. Others are not. But I am amped, AK, because we were treated to one of the greatest fights ever in the main event. No one saw this coming. They thought it was going to be one-way traffic for one guy over the other. And throughout the history of the sport, our fanmanship, we've had technical masterpieces. As you allude to all the time, we've had mixing of the martial arts in competitive form, skill for skill examples that were far better than this from a technical standpoint. But this is fighting, AK. This was a freaking fight. This was Roddy Piper and They Live kind of stuff. This is, even though the movie sucks as a whole, this is Rocky Balboa versus Tommy Gunn in the mean streets of Philadelphia kind of stuff. Just an all-out battle, an incredible roller coaster ride, and in the end, Glover Teixeira, the 42-year-old man that a lot of people felt that was going to get run over by the chaotic Jiri Prochazka, less than 30 seconds away from probably retaining his title, and out of nowhere, Jiri Prochazka submits him with the rear naked choke. Incredible fight, one of the best title fights ever, one of the best main events ever. And the reign of Jiri Prochazka has begun, AK. So my question to you is, are we just running this one right back? We're just running this one right back, right? Or do you have another idea?
That would be my number one choice. I do, as far as immediate rematches go, usually not in favor, but hard to go wrong with this one. Even though I doubt a rematch would be able to match the excitement. I think a rematch would actually end in an earlier finish. I don't know what was in the waters tonight. Again, both guys we know are tough as hell. So maybe they could have. Maybe their first meeting was always destined to go, almost a full 5 rounds. But to ask them to do that again, man, that's unlikely. But we certainly should at least get the chance to see if it's possible. I'll throw out a couple of other options just in case they decide not to do Prochazka Teixeira 2 right away. I'm still in favor of, we're all aboard the Magomed Ankalaev train. I know there's no rush because we all think he's getting a title shot eventually. He does have to fight Anthony Smith, UFC 277. But should he win that fight, I'm fine with him getting that title fight. Teixeira, who knows, maybe wants to take some time off. I know he said he wanted to fight twice before the end of the year, but I think that was working under the assumption that he beat Jiri and didn't take quite as much damage. So it could be he could turn around in 3 months. It could be 2023 till we see Glover again. So just in case you have a challenger right there in Ankalaev. And for Teixeira, again, let's say for some reason Prochazka's not ready or they just don't want to book the rematch, I'd like to see him fight Dominic Reyes. We keep trying to find the right sort of comeback fight for Dominic Reyes. And obviously that's an extremely difficult one. That could be 4 straight losses for Dominic Reyes, but I'm also sure he wants to come back to a big fight. So that's about as big as he can get without a title shot. So I'd like to see that fight. I think that fight's possible. But I would definitely put that way, way behind my interest in just running this one back.
Yeah, we're running this one back, my best friend. Normally, like you were saying, I might advocate for some kind of a plan B, but this just isn't the kind of storyline you can stick in your back pocket for a couple of years. This isn't Conor Nate. This just isn't that. Like, you can't just pull it out whenever you want and you're like, this is a rematch we can do anytime. No, because the clock is ticking here on the great career of the 42-year-old Glover Teixeira. And quite frankly, who knows how long Jiri can keep fighting like such a madman. But who knows? This guy is something else. Maybe he can go on like another decade. Maybe he is just like the chaotic Tom Brady of MMA. It is Jiri Prochazka after all. But listen, unless Magomed Ankalaev dump trucks Anthony Smith on July 30th, and I mean just runs him over, flatlines him, finishes him in just epic fashion, and it's just one of those performances you can't ignore, the winner of that fight should just get Jan Blachowicz. Like, it could be a fight night main event. You could do that in Abu Dhabi on the main card of UFC 280, whenever the hell it is. And it's a surefire number one contender fight because guess what? There's no number one contender right now. Jan Blachowicz is trying, and God bless him, he should. But he didn't go out there and just run over Alexander Rakic. Rakic took a step back and hurt his knee. And it was a 19-19 fight before that happened. And then Ankalaev, yeah, he's on a nice streak, but the Thiago Santos win didn't give us a lot to talk about. We weren't hankering for him to fight for the belt. So he's just got a dump truck Anthony Smith. That's his best chance. Otherwise, he fights Jan Blachowicz, which is still a very good fight. But listen, I also get this side of the equation. Like, it's we feel for these guys after a war like that. But again, if we're ever going to see it again, we have to see it next, or we're just not going to see it again.
Listen, these people, these men exist for our amusement. They dance. We say dance, and they dance for us, and they dance the dance of death, and then that is that, and then we discard them. We discard them, and good luck in retirement. That is how these things work. All right. I don't want to hear this bleeding heart. Oh, what if Dip got hurt so much in the first fight? Like, what are we doing here? This is combat sports. These people mean nothing to me. Mean nothing. Clip that. I'll send that to New York Rick later. Clip that. These people mean nothing to me. Listen. I'm a big time soy boy. So like you said, Mike, we see that angle of it, but I will say though, my thing with Blachowicz is that I had previously said I want him to fight Anthony Smith because I expect Anthony Smith to lose to Ankalaev. So I'm kind of having to stick with my ought no path for now. Obviously, so much can change, especially after the way this fight went. Whatever the matchmakers might have been thinking, this is going to give them some new options. But yes, my assumption is that Ankalaev will beat Anthony Smith. So then I want to see Anthony Smith fight Jan Blachowicz, and then again, we could get this rematch, or the alternate scenarios that I sort of just suggested might play out.
Yeah, Glover, of course, classy as ever in defeat. I think this could be one of those fights where, and he's a pretty positive guy. He came out just smiling. Like, who comes out and smiles before they fight Jiri Prochazka? He sure did. He was calm, cool, and collected and wants to do it again. So he basically calls out Jiri once to fight him, spends over 24 minutes with him in the octagon, just an all-time war. And then he says, you know what? Let's do it again. Let's do it again. How could you not love this? But we'll see what happens. 205 it's pretty interesting right now. It really is. But we'll see what happens on July 30th. Maybe Ankalaev can make a statement, and who knows when these guys are going to be able to return. So I know this seems kind of lazy, AK, but Co-main event, we expected to have 2 separate matchups here because I think we all felt that Valentina Shevchenko would do Valentina Shevchenko type things. But Taila Santos showed up to Singapore and said, I'm not having it. She made things very competitive. She gave Valentina Shevchenko and a lot of bettors a big scare. But in the end, Shevchenko wins a split decision. I scored it 48-47 for Chevy. No problem with it. I gave her rounds 2, rounds 4, and round 5. One judge gave Shevchenko 4 rounds, which, by the way, I've seen a lot of complaints about this on social media. 49-46 is not a great card, but it's not egregious either. I went back and watched the fight this morning. There is a case for Valentina winning that first round. It's not a great one, but a good lawyer can argue that Valentina won that first round. We have seen way worse scorecards. That 49-46 was probably like the 5th worst scorecard of the night. 30-27, Jocelyn Edwards was a pretty awful scorecard. Way worse than this one, if we're being honest. And then there's another fight as well. I think the fight Josh Coolabah won. One judge scoring it on the Kyung Ho Kang, scoring it on the other side is just
Choi.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Was just ridiculous. That's a terrible scorecard. This is a bad scorecard, but it's not a terrible scorecard. But either way, close fight, a lot of discussion about it. There's a lot of ways we can go with Valentina right now, which we haven't been able to say that in a while. Miesha Tate beats Lauren Murphy. You got something there. If she doesn't, you could go to 35. But to me, we just run this sumbitch back. Shevchenko Santos 2. Nothing else makes any sense to me at all, my best friend. I think you got to run this back. The clash of heads is crazy. That was the turning point in the fight. And I have so many questions coming out of it. I just want to see these 2 fight again.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Again, I have some other alternatives just for the sake of this. Mike, as the great, I'm gonna hate myself. I forget. I think it was Mike Brophy, I believe. No, was it Mike Brophy? Anyway, I'm sorry. One of my professors, at Centennial College, who was a producer for Hockey Night in Canada, always said the 6 P's, Mike. Proper preparation prevents piss poor performance, and that is why I have these alternative picks. And I will get to those. And I will, pardon my language, everyone. And I will get to those in a second. It wasn't Mike Brophy. Who am I? I'm gonna hate myself. I'll remember. I'll look it up later. But firstly, I want to say I don't want to hear. I'm going to say this every show. I know it's a broken record. Just people just need to unless I know that you have read the scoring criteria and you understand it. I don't give 2 F's about your opinion of whether you thought a fight was a robbery or not. And believe me, I can tell the difference. There are people who I'm sure will leave comments and say, "Oh, I've read the criteria," and it's like I can tell within seconds if someone has read the scoring criteria and if they have understood it. Because I will tell you right now, 4 out of 5 MMA fans have not. I don't mind people saying, like, oh, well, I feel this person won the fight because, but when they criticize the judging, that's another story, because the judges work with the set criteria, which again and the criteria does not necessarily jibe with what people think, scoring a fight should look like. And that's okay. Like, I agree sometimes. I think grappling is almost kind of not getting enough credit now. I think they changed it in 2017 that a big emphasis on damage, right? Everything is emphasis on damage. So I do feel like takedowns, control, and things like that are almost getting diminished a little too much, and that's frustrating for fans. But the fact is, per the rules, damage is the first thing that matters. So I certainly scored the first round for Taila Santos, but apparently those little shoulder punches, the Shevchenko being on the ground, throwing punches over her shoulder, little again, uncomfortable but not really damaging punches that weren't even registered as significant strikes in the statistics, was enough to win her the round on 1 card again. And I don't hate it, I just don't necessarily agree with it. Anyway, people, read the criteria. We'll be talking, this will be another fight that I'm sure people are talking about it for some time. So my alternative picks don't need that much explanation. Shevchenko, if they want to just give her a fresh challenger at 125, the Araujo Alexa Grasso winner August 13th. I think it's too soon for either of them, but again, this is just if Shevchenko wants to stay busy and for some reason they don't want to book the Taila Santos rematch. For Taila Santos, then instead she would get the Lauren Murphy Miesha Tate winner. More likely Lauren Murphy. If Lauren Murphy won, she would get Taila Santos because she wouldn't get a title shot again. If Miesha Tate wins, she probably moves into one of those pole positions for. Can you have multiple pole positions? Anyway, she probably becomes one of the favorites to potentially fight Shevchenko. So that's really more a Lauren Murphy thing, a Lauren Murphy, Taila Santos. But those are just options. I'm with you, Mike. Magic wand pick, run it back. Let's see how it goes.
Yes, run it back. But I mean, if Miesha Tate goes out and beats Lauren Murphy, the UFC is just going to go ahead and make that fight. They're just going to make it. You could actually main event a card because Miesha's a star and Valentina is getting there, if you will. So that's not a fight that's just an automatic co-main event. You could headline a pay-per-view with that card. Is it going to do a million pay-per-views? Probably not, but it's something that will get people interested and people watch that fight. Most MMA fans, especially the old school ones, they all know who Miesha Tate is. They're just getting to know Valentina. Love the fight. I mean, it's just, I don't love the fight, but it's a fight that I think that the UFC will make and will jump the queue with that one if possible. So let's see what happens. But yeah, I would rather see them just run this one back. There's too many questions here. And the way Taila Santos competed, the accidental clash of heads, I think we just need to see more of it. So let's just see what happens. I feel like Valentina will make some adjustments. I would still pick Valentina to win, but Taila Santos' stock rose tremendously, even in defeat. And now she's going to be out for a little while anyways. So maybe it won't happen because she got the broken orbital, but I don't know how long she's going to be out for. And who knows? Valentina's, even though she says, I want to fight 2 more times this year, she's not really the most active fighter of all time either. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I told people Taila would be tough. I will repeat this from the mountaintops as much as I need to. I was telling everyone Taila Santos would be a tough matchup, the toughest matchup of Valentina Shevchenko's career. So I was vindicated.
Yes, that was a pretty spot on breakdown. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Now, before we get into what Zhang Weili did last night, tip of the proverbial cap to Joanna Jedrzejczyk, who announced her retirement following the conclusion of that pretty gnarly knockout loss to Zhang Weili. What a fight. Round 6 was incredible. One of Zhang's all-time best performances. I mean, she just ran over Joanna Jedrzejczyk in the end, and Joanna was game as hell. But Joanna said, this is it. I'm done. I'm 35, 36 years old. I want to start a family. I want to start a business. Maybe she wants to jump into the managerial side of the sport, but she's not going anywhere. She's going to be attached to MMA. But her fighting career is over. Joanna says she's done, AK. Your thoughts on just a tremendous career from Joanna champion?
Yeah, let's just do our happy trails now, right? Because I always say we should save it for the end of the show, and then we forget. So this is, guys, we will finally be doing our happy trails and remembering. We've forgotten for several fighters who kind of, some of them more low key retirements. This one again happened right in the moment. You could almost feel it coming. I think as soon as as soon as she got knocked out, and it once the excitement of the moment kind of passed. And we all kind of took a breath and it's like, wow, holy crap. Like she just lost like really badly in her first fight in over 800 days. Immediately, I'm sure most people were thinking that could be the end. That very logically is the last time we've seen her fight. And sure enough, they gave her the mic after, they gave her time and she said she's done. Listen, she's I mean, pioneer is such a cliche and the GOAT is such a cliche, but I mean, she is all those things. She really did help build up the 115-pound division, which I think most people would agree is probably the strongest, most interesting women's division in the UFC right now. I like flyweight a lot, but again, with Valentina on top and dominating so much, her contenders usually don't get enough credit. Valentina was also dominant, but sort of in a different way, and her opponents, I don't know if they were better marketed or they're just taking more seriously the threats, but like Jessica Andrade, Claudia Gadelha was a good rival for her. The way she destroyed Carla Esparza in that first fight, in defeat, the war with Zhang Weili. She went 5 rounds with Valentina, and that fight wasn't super competitive. There's just so many memorable moments, winning or losing, and she had such a distinct style. She was arguably the mistress of death by 1,000 cuts. She's not going to go out there and start someone with a flying knee or with a 1-punch KO, but you just knew you're going to get this high quality, super fun to watch, striking performance, and a great demeanor about her. Some of her trash talk here and there, a little questionable. Some of her maybe post-fight comments, kind of, whatever excuses for losses and bad weight cuts. I know people don't agree with that, but overall, as far as combat sports stars go, I mean, this is what you want. You want this person who carries himself with that confidence, who's willing to fight anyone, who just, they always show those gifs of like of a silhouette of someone, could you guess who this fighter is? She's, I think, one of those fighters for sure. If you just showed a silhouette of 10 seconds of her stand up or something, you'd be like, that's Joanna Jedrzejczyk. And so what a girl's, her personality, her fighting style, whichever it is that jumped out at you the most, she won't be forgotten for a long time. And I think there was, even though with her 2 losses to Zhang and her 2 losses to Rose, there's still a lot of people that are going to look her body of work and say that she still has the best resume at 115 pounds. She has not been knocked off that perch definitively quite yet. And considering how long it's been since she last fought, that's pretty damn impressive.
Completely agree. What a career she had. One of the best at the ceremonial weigh-in stare downs. She was tremendous at that. That was an all-time drubbing of Carla Esparza when she won the belt. You actually felt bad for Carla in that situation. Like, you realize the risk that these fighters take, but I mean, she just ran over Carla, and it took a while for Carla to come back, which actually makes Carla getting back to the title really impressive. Like, I know we sort of discard the win over Rose. It wasn't a great fight, but I mean, no, a lot of fighters don't come back from a beatdown like that. And Joanna did. Just think about what Jessica Andrade has done over the last few years, and even before she fought Joanna. But Joanna just, I mean, showcased performance. She styled on Jessica Andrade. How many fighters have been able to say that they went out there and just styled on Jessica Andrade? You might get a quick finish and like a crazy, Zhang Weili had a quick finish, but I mean, Joanna was just like, watch me, watch me, watch me. She was like Steph Currying out there. And I hate saying that name, and I hate using that as an example, but that's what she did to Jessica Andrade. So tremendous fighter. And I actually agree with what Jed said on the post-fight show. She'd be a good manager, sure, but I almost want to see the UFC just be like, what do we need to do to keep you around? Do something with her. You could use her in multiple facets. She could be an ambassador for the brand. She can, like, I thought Dave Shaw did a nice job at the press conference, but imagine Joanna Jedrzejczyk is like the one stepping in for Dana White if he can't come to a card, and Joanna's out there answering questions. That'd be super cool. So I'm glad she's sticking around. She's going to stay around in the sport, and happy trails to one of the all-time greats, Joanna Jedrzejczyk. So there we go.
Yeah, we talk about people being like one of a kind. I mean, she's there. I mean, she fits that. Again, I've thrown another cliche out there. She certainly fits that description. And let me just say, gosh, before I forget, the producer that I was saying before, one of my influences, someone who taught me a lot, Mark Askin. Shout out to Mark Askin, who was an amazing television producer, or is. I'm not sure. I think he's still with Hockey Night in Canada. Anyway, brilliant mind. 6 Ps, proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Remember that. Tell that to your kids. You can just make it the 5 Ps and take the piss out if you want, but makes it a little more punchy and more memorable, I feel.
Yes, JJ from the Hood. I love that. The press conference.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's like her spin on Jenny from the Block.
I was going to say Joanna from the Block. All right.
Can we ban Nick? Can we ban him?
No, stop it. Listen, this series is going 7. I'm rooting for the Warriors, but this is going 7. They're just so evenly matched.
Now let's talk about Zhang Weili, AK.
Yeah.
The spinning back fist was ridiculous. We've seen Joanna lose and get finished before, but we've never seen her just colded like that. That was bad. And we know where this is going to lead to. I mean, again, this is not one of those ones where we had to think very deep about it. It's just there. She's going to fight Carla Esparza for the belt next. Even if there was a discussion point, well, Zhang needs to do this or this person gets a title shot. Zhang needs to do nothing more. She gets a title shot. She might be the best 100. This version that we saw last night might be the best strawweight in the world. She's going to fight Carla next. And boy, we knew her next title fight wasn't going to be easy, but this just feels like a nightmare matchup for the new champion, does it not?
Man, Zhang couldn't just lose that fight and not completely break our rankings. Our rankings are screwed. They're screwed.
After this whole card, dude.
The math, it's like, this was like, again, if I'm not going to use the MMA math calculator, but it's like if you put in like an illogical equation in a calculator and you get just that big fat E, just error, just like cannot compute. How do we even do the math here? All 4, names at the top have fought each other, including Joanna, now retired, but would have been ranked in the top 4 if we were including her. Have fought each other, so have beaten each other. Have rematched each other. It is so confusing. I'll tell people ahead of time. I'm pretty sure I just keep Carla at the top until the fight with Zhang is made. I'm going to save myself the headache. People could put Zhang at the top. People could keep Rose Namajunas at the top. People could put Jessica Andrade at the top. Excuse me. So 5 names in the mix there. Complete chaos. But yeah, Zhang was just spectacular. And I mean, you love when someone she was way ahead in the fight for sure. I mean, Joanna was competitive, but boy, she just was not. And clearly a step behind Zhang on Saturday night. And for her to cap it off, like that's I know I'm ahead and I could probably win a decision. It's only a 3-round fight this time, but I really I'm feeling real good. I'm really feeling myself when you throw a strike like that ends the fight. And hey, look, and that's what turns it from a memorable, great performance into like an all-time great finish, because that replay will be shown over and over and over and over and over and over again. Everything about it was spectacular. What do we do with Zhang? Yeah, I guess it's just Carlos Barza, right? That's there's no Mike. You and I joked. I think we can tell people we joked on Slack. I was saying Carla should, if she has any sort of nagging injuries, maybe take a surgery. Maybe take a surgery that's gonna require you to be out for get the surgery. You're gonna be out for like 6 months. Maybe force Zhang to take another fight and just buy yourself some time. I'm sure that's not how Carlos Barza thinks. I'm sure Carlos Barza is like, I can beat Zhang Weili. I'm not afraid. But she should be a little worried. And Mike, you said she should just consider renewing her wedding vows.
That was a private joke, AK.
Right. You're a married man. It's normal to renew your vows like 3 months after, right? Why not?
Never too early. It's never too late.
It's never too early. So, and she already kind of, I feel like, put off her actual wedding, to accommodate the UFC. So they should do her a favor, let her renew her vows sometime this fall, and just push that fight back. I don't know. But the fight probably happens, and as a lot of us have said, and Zhang's going to be a massive favorite, fair or not. But don't count out the champ. You never count out the champs, right?
I mean, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. She's a great wrestler.
I mean, Glover Teixeira lost to Jiri Prochazka. That tells you anything can happen. Especially how confident I was. But I'm not going to go back and done that
so
well
close.
We'll be here. I was so
we were
close.
so
every single round except the third. I was so close to being
fans know how good. Like, I'm one of the least people to like have a hot take and really sit on it. I'm a fence sitter. I'm a take jumper. I change my mind on that. So, but most fans aren't like me. They'll like have a take and they'll hang on to it. And that was kind of how I was, and you were as well with Glover. It's like, man, so most fans, unlike me, know how good it feels when you have a take and you've had a take for like 6 months, 9 months, a year, and it's justified. Oh, you feel like you're the smartest person in the world. And our take was still justified, Mike, but we don't quite get that satisfaction that we almost did.
When Glover took Jiri down in the first round, I was like, yes,
it's over.
It's all done. And then he got up and I'm like, oh God, he's going to get knocked out. And then Glover survived. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for the worst to happen. And then it looked like the worst is going to happen in the second round. And then Glover turned the tide and actually won the second round, which is insane. Oh, the fight was so freaking good. I'm going to go back and watch it again.
You went through, I think Glover has this, oh no, here comes Jiri, at least 8 different times during that fight.
Oh, probably more. It's like once or twice every single round. It was absolutely nuts. Now, with the comments here, one of the more popular names that we heard, and rightfully so after this performance, is one Jake Matthews. Looked the best he has ever looked last night. Runs over Andre Fialho. And by the way, if you listen to No Bets Barred with myself and Jed Michoud, I told you that Jake Matthews was super live and to go and just get after it. Put that coin on Jake Matthews, the underdog. Definitely didn't see this thing coming and this performance coming. But Jake Matthews had Andre Fialho with all the hype behind him on skates for pretty much the entire fight. Puts him away in the second. Sensational performance. Cashed a fake dog ticket for me. A real dog ticket for Jed. AK, where are we going with Jake Matthews after this incredible performance?
Man, the pre-fight, I said I need to see the dog and Jake Matthews. We saw a friggin' Rottweiler on Saturday. That was insane. I feel at least better. People hearing a lot of people say, Shaheen was one of them, that was not Jake Matthews. That was not the Jake Matthews that the warm and fuzzy Jake Matthews that we know and love. That was not him. That was a savage. That was not a mixed martial arts combat sports athlete. That was a fighter. Capital F, capitalize all the letters, fighter. It was amazing. He wasn't settling for anything less than a finish. He wasn't shying away from a super aggressive Andre Fialho. He said, "Bring it on." Got the better of him on almost every exchange and just looked amazing. So yeah, good for him. He's only 20. He's only 27, 28 years old. Maybe this is his prime. Maybe this is as Cad or Scott McCrate parading as Cad Bane's revenge. Man, change your name back. Maybe this is Jake Matthews 2.0, and this will be a turning point because you've seen a lot of them in the UFC, but maybe everything was just preamble to this. So I want to see him get a super stiff test. Again, he is technically a UFC veteran, so it's not like he's anyone that needs protection. Let's get him in there with a guy with a similar record, a super exciting fighting style, and someone who also always feels like he's on the cusp of the top 20, top 15. He had to pull out a fight recently, so hopefully everything's all right. But Elizeu Zaleski, Jake Matthews. Let's make it happen. I don't think they've fought before, right? Sorry, guys. I normally check the stuff way ahead of time, but they have not. I don't even think they've been booked against each other, which is surprising because their careers are pretty lined up with their time in the UFC. So give them Elizeu Zaleski, awesome fight, and whoever wins, I think maybe is in the top 15. Some people might have them in there already, but certainly make a much stronger case.
Yeah, I think this is probably the toughest one because, I mean, it's tough, but it's really not because you could give him a ranked guy and no one would be upset about that. Or you give him like a top 25 guy, no one would be upset about that. We don't want him to go backwards. I saw someone say Miguel Baeza. I think that's way too far backwards. And plus there's another welterweight on this card that we're going to talk about that is, making moves himself. So I landed on Alex Morono, AK. Alex Morono would probably want to take a flight to Paris. I would be shocked if they don't throw Jake Matthews on this Paris card. I'd be shocked if they didn't throw all the Australians on that Paris card because they all seem to want to fight in September in Paris. So, yeah, you can't. I mean, no one's going to complain about Jake Matthews versus Alex Morono. You have two guys that are pretty much in a similar spot, try to break into the top 15. And if Alex is ready to go and he's ready to go relatively soon, let's go.
And by the way, thank you, Jake Matthews, for saving us from the on to the next one reign of terror of Andre Fialho, because we love the guy. I love watching him, but we were like, do we ban him from the show? His whole thing is he wants to fight like once every 6 weeks, so we can't even matchmake for him. And by the way, I will tell people, depending on his medical condition after the fight, it was pretty tough. He probably is still planning to fight again 2 times for the end of the year. If anything, he might be more eager to fight again to rebound from this loss. So don't think. I mean, it's entirely possible. Maybe Jake Matthews punched some sense into him, and he's like, okay, maybe I am going to chill for the rest of the year. But it's also possible he just goes, hey, I want to be in Paris too. I'm fine. I got knocked around a little bit, but no broken bones, no torn muscles. Put me on that Paris card. So you could see Andre Fialho again. The guy is really unpredictable. Yeah,
there's a lot of options. The D-Rod one was an interesting one. I like D-Rod Randy Brown. That was kind of the direction I was going with that one. But I mean, again, he put himself in a very good spot. Welterweight is one of those divisions where you got to make moves and you got to get some hype to try to get a ranking spot because it's not easy. Ask Sean Brady how tough it is to climb those rankings once you get into the top 15. But we mentioned another welterweight who made a strong move. That man is Jack Della Maddalena, AK. He is officially legit, fought through some adversity in a tight anaconda choke, muscles up, gets out of it, and then just beat the hell out of Ramazan Emeev up to the body, dropped him with a nasty body shot, and then became the first man to finish Ramazan Emeev in the UFC. And the question is, how high do we want to go here? I think I have the perfect one, AK. I think I have the perfect fight. I've been waiting. This is a very popular name, and I've been waiting for the right spot to say this name, and I think we've got it. Jack Della Maddalena versus Mr. Chaos Williams. Get it on the books. Let's make it happen. Next couple of months if we can. I love that matchup. I think it's the perfect next step up after beating a Ramazan Emeev. No more. I mean, listen, he wants to keep taking on those Dagestani wrestling challenges. That's what he was saying at the post-fight press conference, but he wants to fight Chaos Williams instead. That's just such a banger.
That's really good. I thought I had the perfect matchup. Who as it turns out is booked, but I went with, I really want to see him fight Jeremiah Wells. Pretty much 2-0 versus 2-0. Jeremiah Wells is set to fight Court McGee, UFC Austin, June 18th, but I kind of be okay saying give him the winner of that fight. I know Court McGee again has had like 20 UFC fights, so there's that experience, there's that gap in experience there. But I'm so impressed. I was so impressed by JDM that like I'm willing to throw him up there. I'm willing to throw him up there with Court McGee, a guy who's a real stalwart, super tough out, very difficult to knock out. If Maddalena can get any knockout, I don't care, first, second, third round knockout against Court McGee, man, I was super impressed after Saturday. I don't know what I'm going to think about it after. I might just totally freak out and put him in the top 10. That's probably a bit of an overreaction, but let me see him versus the Wells McGee winner. But I do love that Chaos Williams choice though.
Yeah, can't go wrong. Go up, fun fight. Someone with the name. Let's go. I see some Court McGee action. Court's booked, I believe. And what's crazy about
he's fighting Chaos Williams
against Wells, and they should just push that fight back to August 20th. Should they not? I mean,
Jeremiah Wells, yeah.
I mean, come on. Court McGee is from freaking Salt Lake City.
Wait, that's not. Oh, that's in you. I just said that's in Austin, right? Oh, yeah, that's silly.
Yeah,
that is silly.
Just push it back. I don't know how many fights are on the card, but I mean, just push it back a couple months. Come on.
Hey, listen. And also, by the way, Bobby Maximus. Can we get Bobby Maximus in Salt Lake City? Can we get Bobby? He lives there. I know the UFC is like probably like, do we really want to sign this guy? He's 40. What is he? 40. I feel so bad. I interviewed him. I should know. It's 43, I think. I know he's a 43-year-old, but look, he can compete at heavyweight. Everyone there is old as hell anyway. He's in Salt. You don't have to even pay for his accommodations, travel. He's there. Give Bobby Maximus a fight.
Yeah, give him Francis Ngannou.
Let's
go. What a story. Have a couple of 40-year-old champs. So I want to pull this up real quick. We talked about this at the post-fight show. Mark Goddard actually addressed this because this was a talking point during the fight.
This was weird.
It looked like there are a couple of moments in that fight. If you watch close enough, you questioned it. You're like, huh, did he just tap? And then we realized like it is Jiri Prochazka, but he probably didn't. But did he? So Mark Goddard, who is the referee and one of the all-time great referees, was asked about this on Twitter. What I like about Mark Goddard so much is that if someone hits him up and there's something that's being debated about a fight that he was a part of, he will answer the question openly and honestly. So he was asked, what's the view on the perceived Jiri tapping if you watched it back? And Mark Goddard's response was, LOL. Jiri was actually congratulating and encouraging his opponent. He did it a couple of times during the fight, and I told him it's a risky game, but it's very clear what he was doing and intending. Let's celebrate the incredible feat for both gentlemen. So basically, he didn't tap. He was almost like clapping in a way. Like he was literally like, good job, Glover.
Yeah.
Like that was a good move.
Listen, this is why Mark Goddard gets these big assignments and not like a Jaron Vallel. Because a Jaron Vallel probably like, oh my God, and just said, he tapped out, and then we would, and Glover would still be the champion. And you and
Chris Taioni would have stopped that fight.
I don't know. Times. And then restarted it somehow.
Oops, I made a mistake.
My bad. No, listen. He did actually physically tap. It was very strange. But this is why you have good refs, because they have to perceive intent. It's in the rules. A tap out signals submission, but also he can hear what they're saying. He can see the intent behind the tap. So for people and anyone who missed it, it was twice. I think I want to say it was the second round. Glover was on top in mount. I think he was in mounts. And looking for some, not like in the middle of a submission, but definitely looking to advance, doing some ground and pound, trying to set up arm triangles, things like that. First, Jiri tapped on his head, not open palm, but like almost like a half, like this, almost like a open fist. So that was weird. And I saw that, and I'm like, okay, why is he doing that? Like, I know it's not a tap, but that's very strange. And then right on the side of his body, a very clear, like a 3, like that. That was so strange. But again, Mark Goddard clearly was looking at, Jiri's expression, probably listened to him talk. He could see that there wasn't really a submission hold being applied, that Jiri was not showing distress, wasn't in danger. So it was like a pat, like, good job. Like, man, you're really giving it to me. Good work. So I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do, but there's about a half dozen things in that fight that Jiri Prochazka did where we're like, that wasn't the smartest thing to do. And guess what? He's the UFC light heavyweight champion. So
yeah,
to us and everyone else, don't tell him how to do it. All right.
Yeah, it's just hilarious because Jiri is probably like, hey, Mark, I'm not tapping right now, okay? I'm not about to tap. I'm going to give him his props. Oh, Jiri, Glover, nice job, dude. Really good. But it definitely looked like it. But again, Goddard's right there. It's Singapore. It's that market. So the crowd is just kind of quiet. So Mark could literally hear everything that was going on. He could probably hear every breath that was taken. He could probably hear every word that was said. I'm sure Yuri was talking to him the entire time in a lot of ways. So it was just such a crazy fight.
Can you pull up this comment from CNC Comedy Factory? I like that. I like this. Sarcastic tapping. Oh no, I'm so in danger. As a fan of sarcastic clapping, I like to do the. I want to believe that was the mid-fight equivalent of that. Like, oh yeah, you really got me. Good. Oh yeah, I'm really. Yeah, I like that. That is my. Yeah, it was either encouragement or sarcastic tapping, which again, probably not a smart thing to do. I don't think a lot of referees can discern between sarcasm and actually being in trouble. But yeah, if you want to try it, go for it.
Yeah, Herb Dean would have been like,
yeah. It's not.
You know what? Stop. Fight's over.
Herb Dean. The first one, the one against the head would have had him going like, and then when he saw the second one, it's like, oh no, this is just getting too crazy.
Herb Dean would have been doing the Cupid shuffle, going to the left, to the right, kicking, and then doing the turn, and then finally would have stopped him. What a vastly different fight that could have been if Herb Dean was the referee instead of Mark Goddard. Wow.
Thank you, Mark Goddard.
Let's go to the wild card round, AK, and we're going to select one fighter we have not match made for yet, and we're going to do it right now. So it could be someone from the main card that was not victorious that we have not match made for yet. Could be anybody from the prelims. You're up. What do you got?
Mike, I cheated.
Oh, no.
Hashtag rules rule, always, of course. But I told you, I didn't really see the prelims. I saw the highlights. I have not watched the prelims. So
you did the same thing I did, didn't you?
Manel Cop?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay,
good.
Manel Cop was supposed to fight Rogerio Bontorin. Unfortunately, the day before the fight, Bontorin withdrew. He had to go to the hospital. He was hospitalized with kidney issues, which were related to his weight cut. He has had issues making weight in the past. He missed for a bantamweight bout against Matt Schnell. So that was kind of troubling. This is a flyweight bout. And, we'll have to look at that in the future. And I'm sure Manel Cop would be happy with running that one back. But at the same time, he's ready to go. Let's just get him. Listen, we got cards in June. Let's get him ready to fight. Let's send him, whatever, or send him to Paris. Let's, whatever you want to do with them. But I think we want to see. We were robbed. This is an amazing card, and we could have had a Manel Cop fight on there as well. Think about how much that might have put it over the top. So whatever it takes. Book this. That's my pick. Manel Cop versus whoever's ready to go. Let's get this man back in action. Get him booked as soon as possible.
Yeah, and the answer is the year of the Raw Dog. Brandon Royval. That's the fight to make. Do it July 30th in Dallas. I think that's the perfect card to put it on. We get the flyweights in there. We got another big flyweight fight between Pantoja and Perez. That'd be a nice little addition to that card as well. I mean, come on. What fight? I can't think of a better fight. I mean, you probably could, but realistically, a better fight that would lead into a pay-per-view event coming off of an ESPN prelim, the freaking Manel Cop and Brandon Royval. Oh my God. That would give you some pay-per-view buys for sure. I also cheated, AK. I cheated, and I cheated a different way because I chose a fighter that I think we did officially ban from the show. And I'm unbanning him for the sake of this because, listen, no disrespect to anybody from the prelims who got wins, but you can match those winners up with anybody, and it makes sense. Like, you're not wrong. I'm going with Andre Fialho, Matthew Semmelsberger. That's just a fun scrap. Just let those guys get in there. Listen, Andre Fialho, I think we've realized, and I said this many times in the lead into the fight, super fun guy, has the power to knock out anybody in the first round. It's possible. But from a skill versus skill level, he's not going to be a top 50. He maybe cracks the top 50 at some point. I actually don't think he will. But he's not going to be a guy that's going to be fighting for a title or anything. He's going to be sort of in that Nico Price, which is a great place to be, where every time your name comes up, people are like, yes, let's watch this dude fight. I think Fialho is going to be kind of in that boat. So let's just give this dude fun fights. Him and Semmelsberger would be a super fun fight. Semmelsberger would hammer and tongs with Chaos Williams for 15 minutes and live to tell the tale. And not many guys can say that. He did. And that's just a good fight. So that's the one I'm going with.
I was going to say Semmelsberger is also an option for Jack Della Maddalena, I feel.
Yeah, that's a good one too. So if you guys...
John Ray.
Yeah, I mean...
Kulabau versus Elkins. Oof.
Yeah.
I like it.
So if you all want to, you do Cap versus Dvorak. I mean, I think Cap's kind of way ahead of Dvorak at this point. Not way ahead, but yeah, I mean, that's not a bad one. I just don't. Dvorak's not the most active guy, so I think we're looking to get him in there quickly, right?
Yeah. This is our goal here.
Yeah. I mean, if Fialho had won, Kevin Holland, if he beat Tim Means.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
I've seen a couple of these, but Joe Pereira versus Jacob. I mean, what does Alex Pereira have to do to get himself a top 10 opponent? What else does this man have to do?
But you could ask
Jake looked fantastic.
Okay.
Jake looked fantastic.
Yeah.
But Pereira's just winning. It's 5 in a row right now? He's 5 in a row, right?
5. Is that if you count the Diego or if you don't count the Diego?
I think it's if you don't. So 6 for me, probably.
I'll look real quick. It is 5 in a row, not including the Diego disqualification.
Yeah, I mean, we need to. Pereira has earned the right to see how good he is. Like, we need to he deserves a top 10 guy, or at least someone ranked ahead of him. We test him. Let's see if this guy's the real deal. You got to do it now. And Jake is still a young man. He's got time. Ponzinibbio, good pick. I like that. That's a fine pick as well.
Okay. I'm into that. Yeah. There's your, I mean, he's not top 15 anymore, but I mean, he's right. He's been in there and he's right at the edge for me.
I love the love for Glover Teixeira. Where is it?
Listen, if you don't love Glover Teixeira after that fight, if I see anyone criticizing Glover Teixeira after that fight, you can. I was gonna say no. Listen, no. We're all friends here. But if I see anyone talking mess about, and I'm serious because I despise everyone from the New England area except for Mike Heck and Glover Teixeira. So this is how much this man has won me over.
I'm calling John Anik right now. I'm gonna tell him what you just said.
Oh, he's trash.
He's trash.
Great broadcaster. It's a shame that he's from New England.
Is it time for Brendan Allen to get another shot at a top 15 fight? My answer to that question is no, because I thought Brendan Allen won. I think the judges got this one right. However, a lot of people felt like Jacob Malkoun won that fight. And in Singapore, I thought there's a very good chance that he's going to get a little bit of home cooking and judges who aren't all that aware of the new scoring, because you saw some weird scorecards throughout the night that didn't make a whole lot of sense. So you can make I thought we were going to see maybe a splitty for Malkoun, and it wouldn't have been a robbery. I scored it for Brendan. I don't know, man. Brendan's a good, serviceable fighter. I just don't know if he's a top 15 guy. I just don't know, AK. Maybe it's there. He's still pretty young. Like, he's not like he's 35 right now, so he's still got time. I don't know what else he needs to do. I just don't. He's close. He's like teetering on that line, and just to me, he's just not quite there yet.
In my rankings, I have him. UFC only rankings. I have him 18. He took a hit when he lost to Chris Curtis. That definitely hurt his standing. I probably had him at 15 before that, and just kind of knocked him down. He's got some great wins. I think Kyle Roberson's a really good win. Kyle Dawkins, I think, is a really good win. Tom Breeze at the time was a really good win. Kevin Holland. That's again, kind of yeah, he's on the cusp, What was the original question? Does he deserve a top 10 or top 15 guy?
Should he get a top 15 opponent next?
Top 15. I'm with you. It's again, I didn't see the fight, but it was split on MMA decisions. 9 media scores had it for Malkoun, 8 for Brendan Allen. And Brendan Allen himself after did not sound very enthusiastic about his performance. He was almost as bummed out as Jiri was. Jiri called his performance horrible. And he won by submission. He won a UFC title. So I guess I can't imagine how Brendan Allen was feeling. He's also kind of stuck in that middle of the pack where there's like a lot of good options for him. Some of these names are already booked, but there's just no rush, I think, for the UFC to put him into the top 15. I think, as you mentioned, Mike, I think you mentioned his age. He's 26, turns 27 this year. He's almost like a middleweight Jake Matthews type, where it's like, let's just keep, running him into guys that are around his range. Why push him up? Let's see what we have here. Because, yeah, very talented guy and a tough fighter. Can he take it to the next level? We'll see. I say again, give him someone else again in the 16 to 30 range before the end of the year, and then let's revisit this in 2023.
Yeah. Chris Hewitt puts out the suggestion: Brendan Allen versus Edmund Shabazian. I don't know if I love that idea. I feel like that's a nightmare fight for Edmund Shabazian because Brendan's just so big for this weight class, and he's got really good top control. I just feel like Shabazian is just going to get put on his back and smoke for 15 minutes. And I think at this point, the next fight you book for Shabazian is something in his wheelhouse with a fellow striker that he has a chance to win. I think you've already misbooked him a number of times at this point. You got to get this guy a win, and Brendan Allen is probably not the guy. Now, Daniel Edwards had a suggestion. I like this fight a lot. I think this makes perfect sense at 185. Jacob Malkoun versus Nick Maximoff.
Yes.
I mean, it's just going to be a scramble fest. So if you're into that kind of thing, the scrambles over those 15 minutes between these two guys is just going to be ridiculous. So I love this idea.
That's a deep cut. I like that. And yeah, in regards to Shabazian, man, I keep thinking he has a fight booked, or at least has had a fight book that's fallen through, but we've had not even a whisper of a matchup since his loss to Nassourdine Imavov, which was in this past November of last year, guys. So that's kind of crazy. We are approaching, well, I shouldn't say, we're actually a few months off from it, but he is at 2.5 years since his last win. Like Brad Tavares, 2.5 years. For a guy who's 24 years old and should be like should be in this nice busy period, taking 3 fights a year, building his resume, getting experience, to not have a win in 2.5 years is crazy. And by no means is it too late for Edmund Shabazian to turn things around, because frankly, he hasn't even begun. I mean, his career, I think his career hasn't begun. But we have seen MMA fighters go from promising prospect to never will be very quickly. I hope that's not the case for him. I do, he has made very substantial changes to his management, that's a start, right? So he's at least trying to do something. He's not just ramming his hand against the wall. But yeah, Brendan Allen might not be the one you want to give him the business right now.
By the way, do we have any extracurriculars?
I don't know. I did not have a chance to check. So again, hey, listen. I've told all our usual DM guys, usual listeners, pay-per-view shows. I'm sorry, we big time people. We go live. We big time the people who made us. But like I said, I'll try to respond to all y'all. And if there's any individual no points to be handed out, maybe we'll carry it over to next week, Mike. Maybe I'll take a look, and then we can mention individual point assignments on next week's episode.
All right. So if you have matchmaking suggestions, throw them in the chat.
Keep going, guys. Keep going.
And we're going to get after this probably for the next 10 minutes. We're just going to rapid fire your picks.
Yes. Let me shout out Daniel Edwards again. I know he just gave us that great Malkoun Maximoff. This is his first time. He is a first time Otno contributor. So he sent me a DM. So I appreciate it. He sent me a DM and he tuned into the show. So Daniel Edwards, good job. So I'm going to, at first timers, I always like to give him some shine. He had also just wants to see not run back, excuse me. He wants a run back of Jan and Glover. So he's saying, let's do that one first, and maybe the winner of that, then we figure out, I guess Prochazka, I don't know. And he wants Yuri to face Ankalaev if he beats Smith. So I'm kind of on the same page as that. And he writes, I like the Glover-Jan rematch as it occupies the old guard in a big fight while fresh blood gets their opportunity.
Pretty good. All right, here we go. Jeremiah.
Oh.
Joshua Kulabov versus Joe Anderson Brito.
Okay.
I like that one. That's a good fight.
I'm into it.
It's a good fight. Yeah, I had a look. I didn't know Brito was booked. He is not coming out the winner over Andre Fialho, but geez Louise, what a fight. That's just going to be pure chaos. I love it. Gene Tidwell, run it back. Valentina, Thiago, or Taila Santos too, not Thiago.
Yeah, I mean, we want to see
Santos. Yeah, I think we're a lot of us are.
Can you grab this question from Cameron Batko about that video montage they ran during the prelims? Apparently, that was narrated by Bisping.
Oh my God, we'll get to that. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get down there.
Yeah, grab it when you can. Grab it when you can.
Blue Raider 1086 Brendan Allen versus Christoph Chakra.
You know what? Blue Raider 1086. I love it. People always talk about number 1 contenders match. People never talk enough about the number 16 contenders match. And that is right. Why don't people build this? Like this number 16 on the line. Not for all the this fight. It's for some of the marbles.
Oh, that is tremendous.
Well done, Blue Raider. I like that.
Could be the headliner of a Contender Series card or something. I mean, that is just unbelievable. John Wick, if they made Usman Masvidal 2, there's no reason they can't be Glover Yuri 2. I mean, I think there's different circumstances here. We're talking about Masvidal stepped in on like a week's notice to fight Usman, cut all that weight. Wasn't the most compelling fight. And at the time, I mean, Masvidal is probably the best financial. And you're trying to sell tickets to an event in Florida, first one in the crowd since the pandemic started. I mean, I just didn't see any other way if you're going to put Usman in the main event spot, if we're being honest. But unless you get somehow lure like GSP back, which we knew wasn't going to happen.
Another big difference, Usman and Masvidal didn't murderize each other for near 25 minutes in the first fight. So, that's that to consider.
Yes. Going through here. The thing that just likes to jump around. Oh, I think I got it perfect there. How about that?
What?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to answer this. I know Dan, I've seen this a million times. No, she did not get robbed. For Valentina.
Robbery review incoming Monday, and I may change my mind. Like I said, I do have to, it's the second round was the swing round. I do have to watch that round again. My thoughts were Shevchenko did enough damage on the feet to overcome the very little offense that Santos had in top control. But I will watch the round again. But I'm thinking not a robbery.
A lot of Brendan Allen matchmaking here. James McDonald, Brendan Allen, Andre Petrosky.
Ooh,
like that.
That's a big jump up for Petrosky.
I mean, and listen, Petrosky called out Gerald Mearshart, and Brendan Allen and Gerald Mearshart are like bros. So there you go. Brendan Allen versus Mahmoud Muradov. I don't know if Muradov is booked. I think he is booked. I didn't think it's a recent one. Let me just look it up real quick. Let me go to the old Tapology page.
Yes.
Check. I believe he is booked. He is booked against, oh my God. Abu Sufyan Magomedov.
Oh, Abus. You can shorten that to Abus. Abus Magomedov, sure.
There you go. Let's see what else we got. Shabazi might not fight for a while. Yeah.
Why? What's up?
I mean, listen, he's gonna get better. Take some time.
You're right. I encourage, if he can afford to take time off, I encourage it. You're right.
Kang looked good against Dana. What do you think of Kang versus the winner of Eddie Wineland versus Cody Stamann next week?
Love it.
Good fight.
Thank you, Jose. Terrible profile picture. It is for anyone who's listening to this in podcast form. It is, of course, the Frankie Edgar's face getting deformed by a front kick from Cheeto Vera. Terrible profile pic.
Hector, how about Brendan Allen versus Kelvin Gastelum? Good fight to get Gastelum back on track. A chance for Allen to elevate himself. What do you think about that idea?
I mean, that's the top. If you want to throw him in there with someone on the top of Dean, I mean, that's the guy, right? Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, we just want to get him. He's had such a weird run. Like, he's someone I still consider to be an elite middleweight. Maybe it is just the fumes of the Israel Adesanya fight that I've never, which, by the way, that's over 3 years ago now. But I don't know. He's only lost to like the best guys and Darren Till, and that was a close fight. So I don't know how much we can knock him down. And they keep matching him up like he's a top guy. Nasruddin Imavov, Dricus du Plessis. These fights just didn't happen. But he's obviously, the UFC does not view him as someone that needs to give an easy fight. So yeah, maybe Brendan Allen is the right name for him. And if you're Brendan Allen, I mean, you definitely jump at that one.
Allen versus the winner of Buckley Duraev. I think if Duraev wins, that's an interesting fight. Buckley could clearly knock out Brendan Allen, but if Brendan gets the fight to the ground, I don't like his chances. Yeah. So not a bad idea. Another Alan Petrosky suggestion from what was the JDM versus Munir? What was the comment?
Cameron Bradco, I believe, was the name of the commenter, and he just wanted to know. I didn't see this again. This was on the prelims. Okay. There you go, Cameron Batco. Excuse me. What were your opinions on the media package that Bisping did during the prelims that showed all the brutal knockouts? Now, I missed this. Again, I was out at a family occasion. Of course, MMA's number one sadist, Kristen King, immediately messaged me saying, "Did you see that? That was amazing. She's like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen." And I'm like, and she described like, "Oh, they just showed all these injuries, fantastic." And I'm like, okay, fair enough. So I don't know if it's on YouTube, if they throw it up on YouTube, or if it's on their social media. Probably is. So I will. Well, I should ask you, Mike. Should I look at this? I'm pretty squeamish.
It was. Did you ever watch the show Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I have not yet, and I don't know why I should.
Okay, so there's this there's an episode where Larry David has a freak show book. It's just about it's about a book of like freaks, and he gave it to Ted. He tried to give it to Ted Danson as like a birthday present. Ted Danson thought it was like kind of effed up. So there's a scene where Larry David and tennis player John McEnroe are like going through the freak book, and they're sitting in this like VIP lounge, and they're just reacting to all of like the freak photos and stuff for whatever that is. That's what this package reminded me of. It was a whole thing about Joanna's face after the first Zhang Weili fight, then the brutal knockouts, but not just the brutal knockouts, what they looked like after. So you saw like Devin Clark's teeth all knocked out. You saw Alistair Overeem's lip. You saw all the gnarly, like sort of gruesome moments from that aspect. It was just weird.
Why?
It was just a weird thing.
Why?
Like this is a very WWE-ish kind of it was just a very strange package.
Do you think they showed that in the Singapore broadcast?
I don't know.
Broadcast that aired, because they're not. I mean, again, we're basing this on kind of one's presentation of what they say the fan base is like in Singapore and in Asia. They usually don't emphasize that sort of thing, like that kind of grotesquerie. So I am like, yeah, I don't know. I am really surprised that happened. I don't know why they would do it. It just doesn't sound like something that's good for business. So I don't know. Truly bizarre. So I don't have to watch this, right?
I mean, you could watch it. I'm sure you will.
As a media member, am I required to? I mean,
not really. It was just so weird and like out of place. It just was.
So
it's like somebody pitched this for the first time and they're like, let's try it. And it was just weird.
And so we are saying Kristen King is the Larry David of at the MMA world then.
Yeah, she texted all of her friends. She probably FaceTimed them and was like, watch this. And they probably were all reacting together. There's probably Instagram stories about said reaction.
Okay. I'm going to tell her to listen to this later. Kristen, don't get me a freak book or anything, or a freak, I don't know, online a freak book NFT or whatever version of that exists online. All right. I don't want to see it.
Let's run through some of these quick. Bonfish Kang versus Kyler Phillips. Yeah. I mean,
I don't think Kyler Phillips is like so high that he shouldn't be taking on like tough fights like Jung Ho Kang.
Yep. Ghost Phantom 98.
Oh, we didn't even mention.
Since people think that Weili doesn't deserve a title shot.
Have we mentioned Marina once on the show so far?
And you know what's funny? It was like 5 a.m. as this was happening, but even when Shaheen was talking about weight division and he listed off all the names, he didn't mention Marina either. Marina has been left out of this conversation altogether now.
And she sounds like she's kind of had this attitude after some of her other big wins. It sounds like, again, like, yeah, I understand that, because she said before the fight, talking to Jose Youngs, who by the way, did incredible work on site in Singapore, 12 hours away on the other side of the world. She said like, yeah, you know, now I'm angling for a fight with Rose maybe in August. You know, it wasn't like a proper call out or anything, but she sounded like, yep. I know I'm not, and this is before, by the way, the Zhang's win. She was just like, yeah, she seemed to know I'm not getting it. She's read the tea leaves. She's read, I guess, what we've said in the media, what Dana White has kind of hinted at, what Dana White said straight out this week. Whoever wins that fight's getting a teleshot. So rather than kick and scream, she just says, give me another fight. Give me the friggin' former champion Rose Namajunas, and I'll beat her and I'll earn the teleshot that way. And I don't know, man. It is crazy. But I think it says something also that, yeah, we hadn't even mentioned her up until this point. So maybe she fights Zhang. I don't know.
We got to talk about Manashata.
Ooh.
I love this fight. Jeremiah Manashata versus Uros Medic. Love it.
22 years old? No
Yeah.
way. No way.
I saw somebody else say Manashata versus Slava Claus.
Okay.
That's not a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
There it is right there. Question for host: can Rakic lay and pray his way to the title? Probably not. But you know who could? Magomed Ankalaev could do that. And I'm not saying that like...
Oh, I think he finishes Jiri.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I know people are saying, oh, well, Glover couldn't do it. I think there's a athleticism gap that helped Jiri, and that's not taking away from Yuri's also his insane preparation, his natural, like he's just a really skilled, smart fighter. But I think Magomed's not going to F around. I don't think he's going to jump for a guillotine in an opportune time. I think he's just got that super solid ground game that's going to break Jiri down, and I think he actually will. I'll call it now. He's going to finish him.
Wow. Jake Matthews.
Rematch?
I mean, I would pick
rematch.
Let's do it again. Maybe
I don't think he wants to fight that guy. Did Jaden Rosario? Do you not remember when friggin' Li Jinglang nearly gouged his damn eyes out? So yeah, maybe I don't know. If revenge. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if we're gonna see that one again.
That's just funny, but I love it, and I agree with you. Glover deserves to be a big star.
He should be. He's like in a perfect world, you know, Glover would be like Conor McGregor big, but we don't live in that world, sadly.
Shota versus Natan Levy. That would be fun.
I like that. Yeah, good. Yeah, they're around the same spot in the rankings for me. Yeah, I like that.
Kirkland, come on.
No, Kirkland Middleton.
Come on.
That's Jack Della versus Sean
I love
Brady.
you, buddy, but really?
No,
Sean Brady. You sent Sean Brady back to Jack Della Maddalena? That's
and I just think it's way too soon. It may be a fun fight, but I just don't think we need to see it yet.
I'm not going to pull this one up because we didn't read the Maddalena versus Bobby. Come on, Bobby Green's fighting Jim Miller. Very soon, too.
Hold on. I need to shout. Let me see if I need to shout out any. Oh, yeah. Let me shout out another first timer while you're digging up some comments here. This is from Brick Squad on email. What's up, Brick Squad? I'll just read out some of these. Kyung Ho versus Casey Kenny. We've had a lot of Casey Kenny matchups over the last, I feel like, few episodes. Like, just like it needs to get in there. Brendan Allen versus Wellington Turman. Is Turman? This would be a battle of two guys who have beaten Sam Alvey, right? Or did Wellington Turman beat him? That was such a weird fight. See, this is what. See, guys,
you did, yeah.
Normally we have time to prep.
But listen, I can't think of any other matchup I want to see more in the history of the UFC than the battle for the number 16 spot.
Yes, you're right. You're right. We've settled on Brendan Allen versus.
And there's a story there because Jaco just beat Gerald Mearshart. There we go. Now we get a story to tell. No fight for Turman as of right now.
How do you feel? Josh Kulabau versus Lucas Almeida. I think people mentioned that. I think people mentioned that in our show last week. It was like Almeida versus the Kulabau Choi winner. So I think that's simple. It's almost like kind of following up on that. Jack Della Maddalena versus Masaran Duba. Francisco Trinaldo. I don't hate it. Huge experience gap, but like I could see the UFC just doing it. Zhang Weili versus Esparza. Yeah, people want to say head. Brick Squad. This is just juvenile. Valentina Borchenko versus Taila Santos 2. That's it. Come on.
That's amazing.
Come on. I do always like when people are making like an insulting nickname and they use both the first and last name. Because some people, he could have gone with Valentina Shevchenko. He could have gone with Valentina Borchenko. He said no. No, he's like, I'm not choosing one. I'm going both. I like when people do it where it's almost unrecognizable who the person is talking about. That's commitment to insulting someone. And they just want to see Glover and Jiri run it back. So thank you, Brick Squad. And thank you for that amazingly creative insult at one of the greatest fighters of all time, Valentina Shevchenko.
Couple more.
All right.
Does Israel Adesanya have any chance to get Jiri Prochazka? I feel like if the UFC had their druthers, this would be the fight they would build towards, like in the next 2 years. Like Izzy just keeps going, Jiri goes on a run, and I feel like this would be the one that it would lead to at the end. Like this would be the end of the road. Would be these two guys. Now you're asking a lot of both guys, especially Jiri Prochazka. But if that happens, let's just say both guys run off 3 to 4 title defenses in the next 18 months to 2 years. The UFC, Dana, I'm telling you right now, if Izzy beats Jared Cannonier, when I'm in Vegas at UFC 276, I guarantee you that Dana White is going to be asked about Izzy versus Jiri Prochazka. I guarantee it. The seed will be planted then and there. But if these guys run off title defenses, that is where the UFC probably wants to go with this thing at the very end of it, right?
I remember when the Israel Adesanya Jan Blachowicz fight was made. I think I was like a lot of people. I was pretty excited about it, but stylistically, it did feel a little imperfect. It did feel a bit odd. But I mean, who didn't want to see Adesanya, put this unbeaten run on the line in another division? So that was cool. I think you're right. I want to see a build towards it. I don't know how soon it would make sense. I guess it depends. Yes, it depends how Adesanya's fight goes with Cannonier. If he fights someone else at middleweight, because there are guys out there, Andre Muniz and Alex Pereira, of course, the rematch. So yeah, it feels like it could happen. And Yiri also would have to go on a streak, right? And we're not even sure if he gets past Ankalaev. So a cool fight to talk about. I'm definitely leaning towards it probably never happening. I don't know if you're with me on that one, Mike. If you had to bet, if you had to arbitrarily throw a percentage on there, I'd give it like a 20% chance of happening. I don't know if you feel stronger about it.
I'm probably a little higher because I think that's what I think that internally the UFC is already talking about this fight as a possibility. Just build it up. But again, we're asking a lot of both guys. We've talked about it ad nauseum. It is so hard to be a UFC champion and just continuously defend your title against these contenders. Mm-hmm. I feel like the gap is a little closer at 205. Not saying that Izzy can't be beat at 185, but I feel like he'll beat Jared Cannonier, even though Cannonier brings some stylistic challenges. Alex Pereira, look what they did with Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira had 4 MMA fights, and he's already a win away from fighting for the title after 3 UFC fights. That's wild. But we knew they were kind of built to that, even though deep down it didn't make a whole lot of sense, from a meritocratic perspective. But here we are, and if Alex Pereira beats Sean Strickland at UFC 276, and Izzy beats Jared Cannonier, that's going to be the next fight. Unranked to title fight, AK. So I guarantee you, their initial discussions are man, can you imagine if we get Izzy versus Yuri in there? That's a big deal. But yeah, I don't know.
I could believe there's internal discussions. I can buy into that. I just don't think it happens anytime soon, or frankly, in my opinion, possibly ever.
Yeah, let's go. Let's see if we can find a couple more here, and then we're gonna get out of here. Kenzie Dern is champs soon. All right.
Hey, stranger things have happened, and I said on the post-fight show, I always love fighters that have an A+ skill. You certainly need to see them rounded out. But Glover Teixeira is a perfect example. Well, he has multiple A+ skills. He was a really great, looked at as a really outstanding elite boxer before he started really, sort of using his jiu-jitsu more, which was already also an elite level. We just didn't see him using it to finish. It wasn't that his preferred method of finishing to the first 30 fights of his career. Now he went on this incredible submission streak. But yeah, so I always like Mackenzie Dern's chances. She's a plus athlete as well in the division. So anyone wants to counter out, I understand why, but the UFC wants to give her a chance. I think she's closer than people think to being a legitimate threat to win a title. Maybe I'm selling it too much. I don't know.
I think we've done enough here. I think we have match made. I think you guys helped us a lot. There's a lot of comments. I didn't think we'd get a lot of people, especially after technical difficulties with the first link. And we got the second link. We're up to 6 a.m. talking about it and trying to come down from just a ridiculously crazy UFC 275 main card, an insane main event, so many storylines. I can't wait to talk about it throughout the week.
Oh, hold on. I ran a poll, Mike. I ran a poll.
Oh, we had a poll.
Okay. Yes, there was a poll. Let me end the poll now. Who, in the spirit of future matchmaking, which fighter are you most excited to see again after UFC 275? Jiri Prochazka ran away with it. 65%. Zhang, Valentina, and Taila were all in there. Zhang second at 17%, Valentina 10%. Taila Santos really low, 6%. But I guess just sort of compared to Jiri, that no one really stood a chance because what a performance that was.
What was it? What was Jiri and Glover again?
Oh, it was just Jiri. I just put Jiri.
Jiri and Glover would be the top 2 easy.
Oh, okay. So I should have put a Glover in there, but I want to show Taila Santos.
It's fine.
Yeah. Also, it's only
I'm surprised Jiri isn't higher. Honestly,
I'm a little surprised Zhang isn't higher. I thought
it's good foot.
That's a crazy knockout, and I assume people just want to see the title fight, right? But I mean, Yuri's just so fun to watch. You know what? You put on one of the greatest fights of all time. What a shocker! People want to see you fight again. And Mike, I do want to tell people, because we probably have a lot of viewers that we don't normally get. Send your picks in the future, guys, because we love getting your comments on YouTube. It's a super fun way of doing it. But if you do become a regular, if you are a new listener, a viewer, and you become a regular listener, again, we do this podcast after every card. Send me your picks, people. On my DMs are open everywhere. Instagram at Alexander K Lee, KK Lee, excuse me. Twitter at Alexander K Lee, just the 1K. Email alex.lee@sbnation.com.
M_HeckJR is where you can submit your Otno picks. By the way, if you enjoyed UFC 275, I have a good feeling that we're going to enjoy even more fights next Saturday because the UFC is returning to Austin, Texas. And I really like this fight card. On paper, I felt that this was the top to bottom better fight card than UFC 275. Now the bar is set extremely high. Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett, the main event. Donald Cerrone versus Joe Lozon. Tim Means versus Kevin Holland. Joaquin Buckley, Albert Duraev, Damir Ismagulov versus Guram Kutatsiladze. That fight is friggin' awesome. Julian Marquez, Gregory Rodriguez.
That main card is nuts. And Julian Marquez versus Gregory Rodriguez. That's perfect. Beautiful matchmaking. Beautiful matchmaking.
Adrian Yanez.
On the prelims.
Adrian Yanez on the prelims
Crazy.
Against Tony Kelly.
Crazy.
I think Adrian Yanez is going to be quite the fan favorite in Austin and around the world. Jeremiah Wells, Court McGee, Jasmine Jasdavicius versus Natalia Silva, Gloria De Paula, Maria Oliveira, Danny Chavez, Ricardo Ramos, Cody Stamen, Eddie Wineland, Kyle Dawkins, Roman Delice, Phil Haas, Deron Wynn, all going down next Saturday in Austin. I love it. And by the way, not loving all these fights are good. I'm not even going to complain that it's a 14 fight card. But we have a 4 p.m. Eastern prelim, 7 p.m. Eastern main card, I believe. And I like that a lot. So a lot to be excited about. These next bunch of cards are going to be great. Because guess what's headlining the card after that?
Oh, the hardcore fans' delight.
Oh, we know what that is. It is Mateusz Gamrot versus the future UFC lightweight champion, Arman Tsarukyan. 5 rounds, baby. Let's go. And with that being said, so much to look forward to. Get some sleep, AK. Get some sleep, everybody. We appreciate you joining us the day after chaos. For AK Lee, I am Mike Heck. Always remember the golden rule of this show and just MMA fighting content in general. Don't take this stuff too seriously. MMA is supposed to be fun. We'll have more fun next week right here on to the next one. The podcast, not in video, in audio. We love you guys.